The process of negotiating a contract on the home you're selling, then negotiating a lease back so that you can negotiate another contract on the home that you're trying to buy. That's a big, big ticket to pull off. So we're gonna go over that and more in this series right now. I'm Ryan Rodenbeck. I'm the broker for Spyglass Realty, and this is my associate Matt Edwards, and we're gonna dig right into this.
So in the previous videos we've covered, how to market the home, how to get the home ready, and we've hit opening weekend. We've gotten through opening weekend. Now we've got multiple offers on the home.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And say you get 4 or 5 offers, that all come in.
Yeah.
Then how do you respond to that to get the best terms possible for the seller?
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, is that the reason you want the best terms possible, Matt, is so that you can hand that contract over to the listing agent that you're going to propose, take your offer contingent on the sale of this home, and they can take your offer with confidence, right?
Okay.
So getting back to, you got 5 offers, right? The way that we do it is we structure an email to all the agents, right? And it has, it says on it that, this is to notify you that we're in a multiple offer situation. My seller has asked for the highest and best offer from your buyer by Monday at 10 a.m. And here are the terms that my seller would find most attractive. Number 1, price, as high as possible, obviously, right?
Makes sense.
Number 2, short days for inspection contingency, or as they call it in Texas, the option period. And that is, the buyer gives a dollar amount for the buyer to have the unrestricted right to cancel the property for whatever reason, okay? I don't think there's any other state in the US that has this, not the one that I'm aware of. But, when you're in a multiple offer situation, you're looking for you have the best leverage and you want the best possible deal. So, it's typical if you're not in a multiple offer situation to get an option period of 7 days, 8 days, 10 days for $100 or $200. So we ask that the buyer's agent, not only that they have very short days, these are the days that the buyer that's buying into your home can cancel for whatever reason and they get their earnest money back. Okay, so there's option money and there's earnest money. Typical option money is between $100 and $200 on a non-multiple offer situation. Earnest money is typically 1% of the purchase price. So if you're looking at a $300,000 house, for instance, it would be $200 for option, $3,000 for earnest. If the buyer cancels during the option period, then they lose the $300, but they get their $3,000 back. So when we're negotiating this contract, we want short days, 5 to 7, or a high option period. Because if we can get a buyer that's going to put $500 option period, and it doesn't always happen, for 5 days, they're not going to cancel unless something really big is wrong with the house. Because not only are they paying the $500 that they don't get back if they cancel, but they're also paying for the inspection. They're not $1,000 if they cancel this contract. So that explains that. The next thing, so we have, the suggested terms are 1, high price as possible, 2, option period, very short with a higher amount. Number 3, if the property's financed, and most of them are,
right,
over 50% are financed, that the financing contingency days are as low as possible.
How do you tell, the buyer's agents to come back, short? Obviously, hopefully if they're representing somebody buying that house, they're already pre-qualified, so they have their, ducks in a row per se.
Yeah.
So how do you structure that, or tell the buyer's agents the best benefit to selling?
Sure, we guide the buyer's agents with this, okay? So we use the #1 volume producer in Austin, Max Lehman, when we are representing buyers most of the time. And what I tell the buyer's agents, and I'll put this in an email, we suggest that the financing contingency period be 0. okay? This is the hard sale because most agents don't realize that, you know, that if you're dealing with a great lender, they've already pre-approved the buyer, right? They already know that the buyer's gonna get qualified unless they do something stupid like go out and buy a car while they're, you know, in a house.
It happens.
And what Max tells us is that you can write 0 because A, I've already, before I issued the pre-approval letter, I've gone through their finances, and B, I still have the option period of 5 to 7 days to make sure and double check that I did everything right. So, you know, if you put this out there, and let's say you have 5 offers, there's a good chance that 2 of the agents, unfortunately only 2, are gonna be savvy enough to say, okay, we can do that, right? This sets you up to put the best offer on the house that you're buying. The next thing that we want in that list of things is a lease back with up to 60 days. Now, if you're selling your house, most people don't even realize this. Like, well, let's get a 3-month lease back or a 4-month lease back. Lenders won't allow that. If you're buying a home that's owner-occupant, and you're buying it as an owner-occupant, they want you to occupy the home within 60 days after the close, right? In addition to that, you know, most people won't wait more than 60 days. In fact, you're probably not even gonna get 60 days, okay? But if we get 3 or 4 weeks, and you know, sometimes we do get 60 days, that puts our seller in a better position to find a house they want and have the time that they need to buy. And then the last thing that we write in the suggested terms is if the price of the home that you're writing on is higher than list price, we would like something in the contract that spells out the buyer is going to bridge the gap between the contract price and the appraisal price.
We want everybody to bring their best and final offer.
Yeah.
Short option period. And then as far as the, you know, say somebody did put 0 as far as financing days go, and say the deal, the financing did fall through.
Yeah.
Would the seller then keep both the option and the earnest money?
So you have 3 major outs. There's several outs for buyer in a contract, but there's 3 major outs. The first one is going to be the option period, which happens fairly quickly. The second one is going to be the financing period. Now, after the option period, the buyer can only back out if the financing doesn't go through. The reason that we're so
even if they put 0 days on the contract.
Well, right, no. If they put 0 days on the contract, then they lose their earnest money.
Okay.
So that's why we're doing that. Right. We want to be able to sell this contract to the listing agent of the home that we're trying to get our people into. Okay? So the last out is the appraisal, which happens late in the contract. And it could happen, you know, a week before the close. So say we list a home at 300, we get 5 offers. The winning bid is 310,000, right? If the home doesn't appraise for that, then the buyer can cancel and get their earnest money back, and then the seller is in a tough position, especially if they're in contract on another home. Okay.
Okay.
So what we tell them is that, you know, we would like to see something in the contract that states that the buyer will make up the difference between the contract price and the appraisal price by X amount, okay?
And by make up the difference, you mean bring more cash to the table.
Right, they'll bring more cash to the table. Because
what the lender's financing and what the home appraised for.
Absolutely. And just by putting this in, you know, of the 5 terms, the suggested terms, implies that we think we're gonna get higher than list price, right?
Right.
It really, really helps. So, you know, putting that all into place really sets us up for being able to, you know, write another offer contingent on sell your home.
We've got the lease back done, so now we gotta get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So,
well, what I suggest for the buyers is, you know, you get under contract, it's go time, okay? But you probably don't want to, unless you find that perfect house and you gotta do it, you want to try to get past the option period before you write the offer on the other home, okay? Because once your home, the home you're selling, we're past that option period, it becomes much less dangerous. And the more time that passes from the date that you execute the home you're selling the better chances you're gonna go to close. So, you know, let's say you get to day 7, and that's when the option period expires on the day, on the house that you're selling,
okay,
right? Then you write an offer on the home on day 8 to the house that you like, okay? Then myself as a listing agent can bring a package to that listing agent that says, look, we've got a great offer. We've got very low option days, which is over. There's 0 financing. This is as solid as possible, okay?
So it makes sense. So you're basically taking what you just did on the sell side, you know, listing the home.
Yeah.
And to get the client their new home, you're coming in with great terms.
Yes, that's right. And that's why this is put in 4-part series, because this is complicated stuff. I mean, you know, not anybody knows how to do this, right? I mean, you have to get someone to take their home that they're selling and basically take your offer, and with the chance that it could fall apart and go away. So we need to sell them on the process that, look, we've taken all the steps that we can to make sure that this is going to go through. And that's why we've done it. And that's what we've actually done.
Is there anything in that contract on the home we're currently selling that says, you know, if we do close on a home, you know, they can take over 3 days later or whatever, and not necessarily we're not obligated to pay them to lease our current home for the full 60 days?
Yeah, no. So that's a good question. I get that a lot. I think what Matt's trying to say is, let's say we negotiate a 30-day lease back. We find a home on day 8. We're able to close another 30 days after that. We have 3 weeks that we didn't need that lease back, right? You gotta do it. I mean, you know, maybe you can get them to let that go away or renegotiate that. But the reason we do that is because you may not find the home you want in 7 days. In fact, you're probably not going to. Right. So we want more time than less, right?
So it's just one of those deals. You just got to pay.
You just got to pay. You got to pay to play. Okay. And then not only that, you also need to have a backup plan, okay? Because what if you can't find your home in 3 weeks, right? Find a vacation rental. You know, have a backup plan. You know, if you've got family you can stay with for a couple weeks. But the point of all this is that we're trying to give you as much time as possible, but it doesn't always work out that way. But we want you to have a backup plan. So Matt, what I think you really need to let people know about this process is when the seller of the home you're buying takes the offer, it's not completely done.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a contingency addendum. And basically what it says, in Texas, by the way, it's not like this everywhere.
All states are different.
They're completely different. Is that if you're in contract on that home and the status changes from active to active contingent, okay? It's still want to slow down, but they will not stop. So if another buyer comes in with a contract, then they go to that form, and on that form it says, this offer is contingent on the sale of X home, and the buyer has X amount of days to remove the contingency should another offer come in. Okay, so this is where it really gets complicated, right? Is because if another buyer comes in, you know, we try to negotiate 3 days. That's a Hail Mary, but usually it's 2 or 1, okay? So if another buyer comes in, they present the seller that you're under contract with another offer that's potentially higher than yours, then that seller will go back. The most normal days we get are 2 days, okay? They come back and say, hey, we have another offer. You have 2 days to remove the contingency or get completely out of the deal.
Okay.
But think about this. Your home is still, you know, under contract. You haven't sold it yet. That's why all this is so important.
And say another, you know, buyer came in.
Yeah.
And then the sellers of our new home came and said, hey, you have 2 days to remove this. Say we did remove this and the deal still fell through. We would be out of earnest money and option money?
If the deal fell through, yes. So that's why we go back to, you know, preparing this whole process so that it's really, our terms are great. Because look, here's what happens. When we're negotiating a contract on the home we're selling, right? We get past the option period, we've properly negotiated the financing period, we know that the buyer's willing to bridge the gap between contract price and appraisal price, there's so much less to risk, right? And you get to the point where the first buyer on the home you're selling, if they mess up, they'll lose their earnest money. And then if you can't go through with the home that you're selling, then you lose your earnest money, but you're also getting earnest money from them.
So it's going to be a wash or close to it.
Yeah, and this is so important because our goal here is to mitigate the risk for our client. And that's why if you go back to all these steps, we've got all of these steps lined out. We've got the ebook, which you can find in the description, and this rest of this video series, which you can find in the description below the video as well. It's all very important. And the biggest question I get in the last 2 years is, how am I gonna sell my home and buy another one? We've got it all lined out for you.
Hi, we got cut off there at the end, but tap on our subscribe button to see more of our upcoming shows and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more great content.